What's going on, guys? What's going on, friends? I hope you're doing well this morning. It is 11:45 a.m. where I am at. It's most likely going to be the afternoon when this drops. But anywho, I wanted to get some significant updates on the SPX, which is the S&P 500 chart. A lot of interesting scenarios on the verge of popping up. As you can see, I'm kind of zoomed in a little bit more than I'm usually used to, but I got to show you guys something. So we have a couple of things kind of on the horizon. So to zoom out here, this yellow line that was acting as support pretty much since October, this is more relevant on the daily time frames here. Hold on. All right, if I zoom out, as you can see, we've had multiple touch points. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We had so many candles just bounce off this area. Unfortunately, when we did get this bearish cross, we unfortunately did lose this area as support, which is unfortunate, to be honest, because that is pretty bearish. Now, there is a caveat. The caveat is that we are still above this significant line of support right here. This is a key level of where price action happens. Okay, so that particular level is still being respected. All right, so I'm going to go back into the 1 hour here just so we can kind of talk details. All right, so I've noticed a couple of things. As time's gone on, we do have a couple gaps that are rather interesting. So regarding gaps in this chart, we do have things in the bullish favor. So we have a gap up here. All right. So if gap theory continues, which I do think it will, the likelihood of bulls maintaining support here is very, very high. And there's some data points that suggest that we are going to survive this dump. So as you can see on the 4 hour time frame, we have a confirmed descending broadening wedge. Okay, we have a descending broadening wedge here, and so far it's playing out that this will be support and resistance. Now, these patterns are actually bullish patterns. They do break to the upside. As you can see, though, the exponential moving averages have been resistance for some time. I was pretty much saying, hey guys, we had a candle close on the daily. Excuse me. When we had a candle close on the daily, basically this one, break below the exponential moving averages, I felt pretty concerned. And since then, we've had pretty much a week plus in just sideways and down essentially, more so down if anything. So yeah, I mean, in previous videos I stated, yeah, like we're gonna have a week or two of sideways and down, and hopefully we maintain support. Now, so far so good. Everything is holding up, and it's showing that there is still an opportunity for the bulls to maintain this historic key level of a descending broadening wedge breakout on the daily time frame that we've been talking about for months now. Okay, now why do I think the bulls are going to pull this one out of their a-hole? So let me go into a couple reasons. So the descending broadening wedge pattern, even though if price does break back down into this level, we're eventually going to see this particular line turn into a support line over time. So hopefully it doesn't get to that point. I really would prefer to see daily candle closes above this downward sloping support line as opposed to, actually seeing support getting lost. That would be terrible, and it would be more murky of a situation and definitely harder to trade. But so far, a couple of things are popping up here. Yes, we did lose this yellow line of support. Okay. Yes, the exponential moving averages are still red. But overall, we still have this smaller descending broadening wedge pattern. We're still above this daily support line, this thick downward sloping light blue line here. Okay. Now, interesting thing that we're showing on Market Liberator indicator. Okay. Money flow is pointing to the downside still, so it's not necessarily phenomenal, but we did get a buy signal a few hours ago. Okay, not only did we get a buy signal, but we got here, bullish divergence. So as you can see, in this particular area, we got highs, candle closes above, and we got a lower low instance, but we got a higher low on the momentum waves. Usually when you see these, it leads to bullishness over time. Now, I would much prefer to see that on, say, like a 4-hour time frame. We're not necessarily there just yet, so I do suspect choppiness. I do suspect that these exponential moving averages will act as resistance for the coming week or so. We're still in this particular pattern here, so I would much rather see a candle close above this red line to confirm a bullish breakout. So I haven't put any long positions in just yet. I want to see this consolidation, because usually after a dump, you get consolidation and then you get the reversal, which we're not there yet. We're still in consolidation phase. We're still in the downward. We're still in the sideways, in my opinion. But yeah, that's actually a really interesting development on the daily chart. So as you can see, we did get some buy signals here, but as you can see, we also did get the money flow curling down. So we could be in a similar instance right here where, money flow did kind of turn down, but the money flow, bearish money flow, was weaker than the previous, which I do think that's kind of the case right now. I do feel there was some market exuberance. The bears were pretty loud on crypto Twitter. I don't know if you're active on crypto Twitter, but for sure they've been on a tirade as of late. I'm not eating it. I do feel like they're kind of leading sheep to the slaughter, so to speak, if you ask me. So I'm more so looking at my charts, and so far so good. Now, as my narrative, my personal narrative will not change until we see a daily candle close below this line right here. As long as the bulls are able to maintain this area as support on a daily candle time frame, I have to continue. We're just in a downward consolidation phase, and we're just kind of setting this up. We're ratcheting up our support, and we're going to be moving forward. Now, if worst case scenario happens, in terms of just complete destruction of the market, I would need to confirm that. I would need to see a candle close, a daily candle close below 3,783.23 to the frickin' cent. I would need to see that in order to confirm continuation of this bear market, because if it does, this would have been a gnarly, nasty fake out, and we just break back in, and ultimately what happens when there's a fake out like of this magnitude, we eventually come down to test support once again. We could go as low as that, or we could find some support right here because of this particular price action area. This is pre-COVID highs, and we also had some consolidation right here, so it would make more sense to see some support right here. Worst case scenario, if price were to lose this support line, and it would get it flipped into resistance, so we would kind of see stuff like that. I'm in the camp of we're in the consolidation phase still, and there's still hope for the bulls to continue this rally. All right, we're just in a pretty intense corrective phase. We've pretty much lost 50% of this particular rally, pretty much, I would say. So myself, yeah, that was a 10% mark, a little over 10%. And yeah, we're down a little bit more than 50%, so we're down 5.6% from that area. But anyway, yeah, it's looking decent from the S&P 500. As you can see, the bulls are kind of coming in once again to protect this zone. So, fret not, bulls. I'm in the camp of we're still in a bull market. We're in the beginning phases of a bull market, and we're just ratcheting up our support lines to then rip higher from the previous high at basically 4,190, pretty much 420. Come on, guys, this is trading. We got some immature assholes up in this place. But anyway, all right. So I am going to move on to dominance here. All right, so interesting developments are happening on Bitcoin dominance on the daily chart. So let's go. So we have a couple of things going on here. Actually, I'm going to turn off this indicator here because it's more so intraday stuff. So I want to show you just like horizontals. As you can see, um, we still have support above 43.47%. We are getting a bullish engulfing candle today, which nullified a potential cross pattern. Multiple crosses are not good. They usually leads to further downside. Funny enough, we are seeing some form of a triangle pattern kind of pop up, and the reason I'm saying so is because if you go to like the 12-hour time frame, we are having a buy signal, which to me that states that Bitcoin is going to be outperforming alts, pretty much the majority of alts. For this time being. As you can see, we also have somewhat of a trigger wave as well in regards to dominance as well for Bitcoin. So if you were to put any money into this market, from what this chart is telling me, that Bitcoin is pretty much going to outperform the majority of altcoins at this time. All right, so I'm going to go to the daily chart here. This trend is pretty mature at this point to where I can actually notice some resistance lines kind of pop up here. So there is this resistance line that I'm keeping my eye on. If we were to see a daily candle close above this line here, I would expect a lot of action to the upside. But so far I am kind of seeing long-term daily support on this line here, and we are seeing downward sloping resistance. So there is an apex point right here, which is pretty much in late July. So at some point we'll see, in my opinion, at the very least, a break of either the upside or to the downside. I do have bags, I do have Bitcoin bags, I do have altcoin bags, so I'm set for either position. But ultimately, yeah, I'm pretty much prepared for both scenarios, and I highly suggest that you should be prepared for both scenarios as well. But so far, so good. This just looks like a kind of a maturing parabola, and in my perspective, I do feel that once 44.65% is broken, we're going to be ripping to the upside here. There's going to be some sell points, uh, just intraday sell points that I'm keeping my eye on. There's a lot of take profit areas pretty much right around here at 47.63%. So if price were to break to the upside, you know where to sell. From my perspective, not financial advice, just this how I do it. Also, we do have some support zones here, so if price were to dump and break the support line, 39.66% is where I'm going to be looking to put my limit orders for Bitcoin price. Not financial advice, that's just kind of like what I'm doing. But overall, yeah, money flow is kind of subsiding a little bit, but as you can see, momentum is still pointing to the upside. So that's why ultimately I do feel that there is still more to go to the upside prior to any significant blow off top and dominance. All right, so now to validate my thesis, we are still below the triangle pattern that broke out pretty much in January 23rd. On the daily time frame. As you can see, we've had a high up here. Now we have a lower high. We did get we're on the verge of crossing on the daily, so I don't think this move to the upside is over. But as long as we have candle closes below 0.071902, we can expect lower highs from here. So keep in mind this triangle pattern is still active. The measured move is all the way down here, pretty much at 0.060901. So that's kind of like the area where I would suspect some type of reaction to happen long term here. We do have a pretty mature momentum wave to the upside. So if you zoom in on the 4-hour, you'll kind of see where I'm coming from. We did get a buy signal pretty much, I would say, like yesterday, like last night, essentially. And yeah, price is kind of waning to the downside. And if you zoom in on the 2-hour, which is a precursor of the 4-hour, we are seeing price hang out below the exponential moving averages. So if I were to turn on my Bollinger Bands here, we could then kind of estimate exactly where support and resistance is. So at this time, we do have support at 0.069334, and we do have resistance at 0.070425. But as it stands, if you were to see on ETH Bitcoin dominance, and I like to see this. I like to keep my eye on this chart pretty much on like the higher term time frames because it really helps in figuring out, okay, should I invest my money into Ethereum or should I invest my money into Bitcoin, right? At this time, even though Ethereum had its day, right, it had its moment in the sun a little bit for a couple days, we are starting to see weakness and we are starting to see support lines getting tested, which is usually not necessarily a good sign here. Um, but so far, we do have this trend line on the 4 hour maintaining some form of support. And, as it stands, this candle is actually below it for the first time in a while. So, and if you zoom in a little bit closer, the 21 exponential moving average is starting to act as resistance as opposed to support, followed by the candle, sorry, prior, the candle prior is a bearish engulfing candle as well. So I would I would expect, frankly, from my perspective, I would much more expect downward price action because if I were to take this off, you can kind of see it. You do kind of see this rising channel kind of play out right now. It looks like this rising channel has been playing out here, and rising channels are bearish patterns. So usually they come back down to the levels where they began, which is like right around this level. And usually when these bottoms are tested, they do tend to break. Obviously, if you zoom in here, we do have highs around this particular zone, and we do have fresh lows here. So it would imply that this could be a reversal pivot to the downside to then create lower lows, which is not a problem. I mean, I'm an ETH guy. I love Ethereum, so buying Ethereum cheaper, and then selling it for Bitcoin later on, is a swell move. I like to swap in and out of both assets because they have the most liquidity in the market. So it's just a safe bet, especially if you're concerned about inflation. But anyway, all right, so I'm going to move on to the actual USDT BTC pairs. I am going to go to Bitcoin right here. So, all right, we have a couple of things moving here. We've been stuck in this range for days now. We've been testing the tops. As you can see, we did get a cross on the 4 hour. The 9 exponential and 21 exponential moving averages have crossed the downside. Usually that is bearish versus the US dollar. I did circle these areas because they were key levels of support and resistance. And as you can see, price wicked to the upside and came back down. And it looks like we're going to be testing uh, uh, instances to lower prices, frankly. But yeah, my thesis hasn't changed in regards to this pattern. This is an ascending Browning wedge, which is actually a bearish pattern. Ultimately, what could happen here is we could have a pivot. Realistically, I would be very cautious because as you can see here, the Bollinger Bands are starting to tighten here. So when the Bollinger Bands tighten, that just means that very low volume, the volatility is low. But when the bands are done being tight, they usually break really fast to either the upside or to the downside. So as you can see here, we had the Bollinger Bands tighten right here, and then we had not only a confirmed 921 exponential moving average cross to the upside, but we also had a break above the Bollinger Band. So usually when the Bollinger Bands tighten and then we get a 4 hour candle close, for example, break to the upside, that's actually a confirmation that the trend is actually going to pump to the upside. So that does happen. That's why I love the Bollinger Bands as well. It's a nice little way of support and resistance on sideways markets. But when the Bollinger Bands are tight and then you see a bullish engulfing or bearish engulfing candle break outside of the bands, then it completely indicates trend. And as you can see, if I were to zoom in on this particular move right here, the Bollinger Band actually becomes support in the trend. So yeah, it's just when you're able to catch these, it's insane. It's phenomenal. Even on the bearish end, as you can see, same thing happened here. Bollinger Bands were tight. Bollinger Bands were tight, and then it started doing some parabolic moves to the downside a little bit more. If you were to zoom in on say a 1 hour or 15-minute time frame. But anyway, okay. So this move is pretty mature. The Bollinger Bands have been red for a little while. The exponential moving averages have been red for a little while, and we are seeing some consolidation. As you also can see on a 4-hour time frame, we do have some form of trend that has sustained itself. So as long as we're above this particular support, I wouldn't necessarily feel bearish. The 9 exponential moving average and 21 exponential moving average across to the downside is pretty bearish, but given how tight these Bollinger Bands are, I would much rather see a 4-hour candle close below this particular support line before I were to initiate any short-term scalp shorts or whatever. At this time, I'm more so looking for consolidation until we see a resolution either above 23,668 or a 4-hour candle close below this upward sloping support line. All right, so that's pretty much what I got for Bitcoin. Let's check out Ethereum here. All right, so Ethereum is actually pretty mature. It's showing something. It's kind of yeah, it's actually kind of losing this support line on the 4-hour time frame. Now, because we did kind of get a bullish engulfing candle right here, there is some onus to actually move this over here because it's technically still valid due to we got like a bullish hammer candle pattern above the 0.786. Wow, can you look at this wick right here? Super close. Wow. That's actually pretty bullish. This I would actually yeah, this is what we call in the biz a bullish hammer right here. So that it usually indicates a reversal. And so far so good. We have highs and lower highs. I'm sorry, higher lows, higher lows. But ultimately, yeah, the big line in the sand is this upward sloping 4-hour. And also, what would be the killer of this particular upward move is a bearish candle close below basically 1600 flat. Um, you know, whole numbers are pretty much psychological levels, 1500, 1400, 1600, 1700. They're pretty much psychological levels, so if they get loss of support, then usually we tend to go down to like 1500 or 1550, stuff like that. Also, there is a bullish engulfing candle right here, so if we were to see a candle close essentially below 1604.63 on the 4-hour time frame, that would most likely initiate a stronger move to the downside. But at this time, we don't have that. We still have upward. So the trend is your friend until the end. So right now, we're seeing 4-hour candle closes above the 9 exponential moving average. So this 9 and 21 is losing strength as a bearish indication. We're more so seeing choppiness and bounces off of this line of support as opposed to 4-hour candle close. But keep in mind, if there is a 4-hour candle close, I would definitely prepare more so for a short than a pivot long. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to go to the BTC pairs. I have been talking about quant for some time, and there's been some interesting developments here. So for example, if I were to actually zoom in into like the lower term time frames, you would kind of see what I'm talking about here. So there's been some interesting whale manipulation. So we did have this like falling wedge break to the, usually falling wedges break to the upside. So let me actually zoom in on the daily time frame here, sorry. Okay. Hold the phone. Okay, yeah. So even on the daily candles, we're seeing whale manipulation. So yeah, usually these patterns. This was more intraday. They break to the upside, and yeah, we're getting whale manipulation here. They're trying to push the price below the 0.382 level, and yeah, this was not able to hold as support, unfortunately. So I'm just probably going to have to eat my losses regarding the QNT dollar cost averaging that I've been doing pretty much at 0.0058, 0.0059. And yeah, I'm just going to hodl. And, I really do think that even though there is whale manipulation and trying to push price below to the 0.236 area, ultimately I do feel like this will eventually pivot to the upside and it'll hit, levels to the 1618 at the very least. Bull market tops are usually 2.618, so even if I were to just like, suck it up for the next year or so, that would still be a 374% gain, net gain. That's the bull market top usually, midway 245%, and this is versus Bitcoin. So, when in doubt, zoom out. We do get these instances where, composite operators, aka whales, they're just able to push the price in the direction that they want, and it looks like these quant whales want the price to continue moving lower. So I was using more so like 4-hour time frame type stuff. I would give that falling wedge some invalidation, frankly. And from the daily perspective, I would actually use this pivot high, or maybe probably this pivot high. Yeah, that would make a lot more sense right here, because it is. Well, maybe I can go with the 4-hour because that'd be more intraday specific stuff right here. So I'm going to turn off everything and then just move forward into this area. Yeah, there you go. I could do that one, but I'm probably going to do the 4-hour wick high. That's a toughie. I'm probably going to do this candle right here, up until this candle. Yeah, so we do have this going on here. We do have a larger falling wedge kind of playing out here. Yeah, from the pivot low, probably like right around here. Let me see. Well, you would consider this area as kind of like a, yeah, let's say pretty much right here. Yeah, so we do kind of have like a channel a little bit. That's solid, not necessarily solid to be honest. Let me see. Probably like maybe right here. That makes a lot more sense. Interesting. Okay. So you could make an argument that we still have a larger falling wedge to play out here, there. And it does lead all the way to the downside here. Interesting. But let's see what the momentum waves are showing. Momentum waves are showing thick money flow, but if you just zoom in on some money flow, which is like these red waves to blue waves to red waves, we are seeing money flow go from lows to highs. So even though we are seeing negative price action, so to speak, the bearish momentum is getting weaker over time. There was kind of like a fake out sort of. We did get some bullish exuberance here, but ultimately it just wasn't enough. We had a bearish divergence right here and then another bearish divergence right here. So it's just been continually bashing any buying pressure. And sell pressure is stronger, I'm sorry. Sell pressure is stronger than buy pressure at this time. But we do have a supply line that's pretty obvious right here, roughly. It is kind of wonky because it is more so intraday. The Bitcoin altcoin pairs are more choppy. So these are a little bit harder to track, so to speak, but ultimately we still see some bullish opportunities here. We're just probably gonna have to wait a little bit longer. But if I were to see a candle close breakout to this upside, that would indicate that yeah, we're gonna head back to these levels, basically at 0.007. But yeah, I just wanted to give you an update on QNT. Technically, it's one of the more bullish patterns in Bitcoin pairs, but Monero as well. Look at Monero, man. It has these ridiculous wicks. As you can zoom in, we got a crazy wick below here, got a crazy wick high. But yeah, so far even Monero, which is acting more bullish than Quant, is still seeing some bearish engulfing candles. We're getting these crazy wicks to the bottom here. We're actually getting a sell signal on the 4-hour, so it's not looking too hot. But as you can see from the momentum waves, we've just had crazy bearish exuberance, from this money flow areas. But as you can see, the waves are getting weaker over time, ever so slowly, but they are getting weaker. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. If you're still watching, thank you. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe with your friends. Also, yeah, if you have any questions or if you have any recommendations regarding any altcoins, I'm totally happy to review them for you. Just yeah, just let me know in the description below. Take care, peace, bye.